Hello, and welcome to the Social Changemakers podcast. I am your host, Khalilah Denney. I am here today with another just beautiful spirit, a wonderful, phenomenal woman, Miss Milani Douglas, right?
Yes.
Thank you. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much.
Yes. So I'm just excited to interview you today because, we're going to have a conversation. We're going to make it a conversation. I might interrupt you a couple times, but it's okay. It's okay. You might interrupt me a couple times. It's going to be all right, right? Because it's a true conversation, right? I had the pleasure of meeting Miss Milani on the Morning Meetup. Yes. So I've talked to you guys before about my mentorship group that I am a part of. David Shands is our leader. He's our facilitator, as he calls it. But we have a phenomenal group of entrepreneurs, nonprofit owners, business owners who come together, and we just do life together each and every day on the Morning Meetup. I'm gonna have to get me a QR code or some kind of, link, maybe,
right.
So I can get,
some affiliate link.
Yes, affiliate link. All right, Dave, there it is. I'm waiting on my affiliate link. But so we've met on the Morning Meetup, and I'm just gonna take a quick minute to just talk about that experience for you. How has the Morning Meetup kind of changed your perspective when it comes to business?
I started in the 7-figure podcast group.
Yes.
And then I did that for 6 weeks. And then I won. And that's a phenomenal group as well. I I learned so much. And then I had got tickets to Podcast Summit.
Oh, okay.
Right. And it was on, Dave had like a live, and I had submitted, and they did a raffle or something. So and then I won 6 months to the Morning Meetup.
Oh, phenomenal.
And then I also won with Miss Skittles a brand, brand overview and all that kind of stuff, and so it's only been, I think this is week 4.
Okay.
And it has been just a tremendous experience. First of all, anything that's going to solidify a routine for you. And solidify a routine for you in community. Is going to be a game changer.
Well, I'm just so excited. The Morning Meetup has really changed my processes as well. Just the way I think about business, the way I think about my nonprofit. The actions that I take. So I'm just grateful to meet people like you.
Yes.
I would not have this podcast if it wasn't for the influence of the Morning Meetup. And David Shan. So once again, we just want to honor you and say thank you, sir. For the work that you're doing with the Morning Meetup. And we're headed to Podcast Summit.
We're headed to Podcast Summit. Yes. And so we'll be there next week. And I'm really excited about that. And it's my first time going. Have you gone before?
No, this will be my first time.
Okay. Yes. So it'll be our first time together. And just when you're in the group and you get a chance to, you see people's growth, because we go over numbers, we go over processes. I mean, we're in the pain. It's not, and I was really, not that I was surprised, but I was just like, oh, we're in this. Getting this business done and growing. Right. So it's going to be exciting to see people in person. It's going to be exciting.
That's right. So when this airs, we'll probably be on our way back, but that's okay. We'll come back and tell you all about it. So let's just dive right into the work that you do. Tell my audience, who you are today. Tell us about your accomplishments and what makes you a successful person.
Well, who I am today started in 2013. I went back to grad school. This was like the major pivot. And I think we all have these moments where we're shifting in our life. I went back to grad school. I had an 18-month-old daughter. I was crazy.
Yeah, that's a lot.
I acknowledge my pure insanity. But I moved in with my parents.
Okay. Well, that was smart.
Yes,
that was smart. And I'm glad that you guys were willing to take her in.
Thank you,
so
Mom
she could get this done.
That's they opened up the home and what I love about my parents is that the house, I always could come back. This was the first time that I ever did.
Yeah.
But I always could, and I, a 10-month-old Went to MICA, Maryland Institute of College of Art, one of the top 5 art schools in the nation. And it was right within blocks from my parents' house. So it made the perfect sense. And being back in an intergenerational house, and really realizing that the way that my parents do their life and how I as an adult do my life, it really was like I had to respect it as an art studio. And so by 2015, 2013 got accepted into art school. 2015, I was like, this is their art studio. And this is my art practice.
So your parents are both artists?
No, they are. My father is, historian. He does all kinds of things, public relations. My mom, she works in helping people do community engagement. But in I forgot what she calls it, but she helps them big. Whatever they're making, she helps them make it bigger. Okay. Right. But me looking at their life and their house as their art studio, not that they are artists.
I understand
we all are artists.
We all are artists.
Right?
So that's gotcha.
And taking that philosophy. And so to give you an example, if you went into an artist studio, you wouldn't just start painting with all their items. You wouldn't just start moving stuff around. You'd have a certain reverence for it. And so having that reverence for my parents' home, but also having a reverence for my own practice as well, how my practice and my art of motherhood, it gave me a different language to communicate really healthy boundaries and really enjoy this time as an intergenerational family and looking at it as an art practice.
Gotcha. So before we get into all that, because now people probably they're wondering, they're trying to figure out like, okay, so what are we talking about here? So what exactly do you do today?
So what I currently do is the Family Arts Museum, and it's family as fine art, home as curated space, community as gallery. The premise is that our family is the ancestral technology that we need to solve the world's problems. It is an art form that your motherhood is a work of art, fatherhood is a work of art, that we have an art practice that is about discovery, right?
Okay, so now it's making sense. Okay, so this is why you depict the family, the environment in your home
as the studio.
Okay, so now that we've gotten that, let's go.
And so once I started looking at, and that became my master's thesis in 2000. That was the defining. January 1st, I was in my daughter's bed. 2015, because she was in mine. Because when you're raising these toddlers, they want to be in your bed.
They want to be right next to you.
They want to be next to you. So I end up in her bed getting my schoolwork done, and I was like, this is an art practice. The same inquiry and the same curiosity, the same work ethic, the same reverence that I have to have in a studio is what I had to have in motherhood. It's what I had to have in daughterhood. It's what I had to be in my parents' home. And it just brought a certain peace and a certain curiosity and inquisitiveness. Like it just made me, and it gave me an additional reference for, well, what is my parents' art practice? Instead of like, why y'all got to do it like that? Like, oh, that's interesting. Well, let me learn about how do you do that, right? And how can I help you do what you do? And then when they came to my house, it was clear this is my studio, right? Right. And we need to have a certain reverence for it.
That's true.
Because it's a sacred space.
So that's beautiful. So you're sharing the generational knowledge, right? Everybody's got their different practices, the way they raise their family, the way they sit at the dinner table on Sunday and have conversations, or whether it's the kids, how they play together, if we allow them to get rough and or are we sitting down playing puzzles and doing those things. So you are able to kind of depict what each individual family's practices, or I would say what's the word I'm looking for,
their individual practice, right? Because like if we all had paint and a canvas, your painting is going to look different than my painting. Right. It's the same material, but it's going to be a different painting. Now, I would say to your painting, oh, that's interesting. What do you think? How does this come to be? Right? What are why did you use this color versus that color? Versus you need to do it this way. This is da 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 da. This is how you get it done.
Gotcha.
No, when it becomes when you look at it as an art practice, right, you can then be more curious, and that leads to more discovery, and it also makes people open to other practices. Right. So I'm not coming to your practice as a parent or as a family judging it. I'm actually coming from a space of like, wow, that's interesting. Tell me more.
Right.
What does this mean? You know, what's the significance? How do we I want to learn from that. So for example, my daughter's father, his family, they have this wonderful practice of how they do family meetings, right? And to me, that is an art practice. How you pass on intergenerational knowledge.
That's
how
what
you do your finances. There you go. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? You know how you even set your finances up. When you say this is how, if I view it as an art and I preserve it, so that you generations later can look at that same piece of art and say, now let me make my own art. It does something different for how we deal with things,
how we show up.
And then it becomes a whole different experience, because the reality is in the art studio, you're gonna get frustrated too. It's frustrating. There's something, nothing ever works always the way you want it to. But in the art studio, you're more curious, and bringing that curiosity and bringing that, oh, well, it didn't go that way. Well, how could it go this way? Made me actually enjoy motherhood.
Okay. So you began, with this idea, this concept of, family being the art when you went to college.
Yes, that's right.
So just let's talk a little bit more about what the environment looked like prior to that. Like, as growing up, where did you grow up?
I grew up in Baltimore. My mother and father, Providence Hospital, taking it way back.
I don't even think Providence still around?
No, it's not still, right? It closed down. I grew up at the Left Bank Jazz Society. We went to every Sunday to the jazz to hear, musicians play. And my father and mother were very heavy about an arts integrated household. But I would have back then I thought that this was just
something to do.
I mean, we always were doing stuff. You know what I mean? Like, it was never like a I didn't even think of it that way. We had to remember speeches. You had book reports. There was a dark room in the basement, so we're learning photography. And it just was.
Who was the photographer?
My dad.
Your dad?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So did he take you around to different places when he was shooting?
He did.
Oh, okay.
And he always had a camera. And the interesting thing about him, he worked in urban planning, so his camera was like a part of documentation. It was a part of art. It was a part of for research later, things like that. So the art was always a part of a bigger
environment. Yep.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And I have a big brother.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah. So I have a big brother, Saeed.
So what is he doing these days?
Yeah, he is a beautiful nomad.
Okay. A nomad.
Yes, he is nomadic, just like my museum.
Understood.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
So, and growing up, but just having he was very protective.
Yeah.
And then my grandmother lived in a very small community, very black community, Pumphrey, Maryland. Yeah. And so during the week, we were out there. We were able to be a part of that and go to school out there.
Yeah, and you were sharing with me that she's the one who kind of got you into gardening and things.
Yeah, she got me into gardening. She was one of those women who could put on the overalls and put a scarf on her head and be out there with a wielding machete. Yeah. But honey, when it came to Sunday morning in church, I mean, the way she just embodied her femininity, but also embodied that wild wield a machete. Yeah. She just had such an interesting balance, And sometimes you catch her out there, and that's me too, as you saw. I went to visit the garden, and I was in my dress. Yes, in the yard, because I couldn't even resist it.
And I love how you were like willing to get your hands dirty. You said, let's go to work, jump right in. Yes. So I appreciate that for sure.
Yes, dress, no, it don't matter. I didn't have no perfume, so I knew the bugs weren't going to get me.
Yeah.
Yeah, but having that jump in kind of spirit is what I grew up with. And then my grandfather and my grandparents on my father's side lived in Appalachia, so they were in the mountains.
Yeah.
So it was just that, everything was about nature and different ways of family.
Yeah.
It was a huge part of it.
Well, I love the fact that you love to get your hands dirty.
I do.
Because gardening is one of my favorite things.
I saw.
It's one of the ways that we bring our seniors and our seasoned saints, I would say, together. We do a lot of work with transitional age youth. Those are coming out of high school, students, to make sure that they get, service learning hours. And then our seasoned saints, they are the ones who are passing down the knowledge of, all the things that they've done, all the things that they've grown. And we want to teach individuals how to grow their own food, how to lessen their carbon footprint, and that's where the gardens come in. It's a place where different generations can come together and share in each other's knowledge. The young people teaching the old people about technology, and the older generation teaching us about how we're going to tend the soil to make sure that it's fruitful. So I just love being in the garden. That's the place, my place of peace.
You all have created a beautiful community there.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
and just being able to walk in and seeing that intergenerational environment, it's so important that we become stewards to keeping us together.
Yes.
And because we have so much to learn from each other. So as soon as I walked in, I was like, oh, this is home. This feels right. These are my people, because that's how it's supposed to be done, you know. And so it was fantastic visiting with you all.
Yeah, well, maybe we can get an opportunity together where we can have your art studio come to life at the garden.
I would love
that.
Yes,
let's make that happen.
Let's make that happen. And are you growing some herbs over there? And
we are. But if
Okay.
there's anything that we need to grow to make it come to life, please share. Let us know.
I got a little list.
Okay. Let me hear it.
I definitely want some yarrow.
Okay.
Yarrow is a beautiful flower, and it attracts pollinators.
Sure
but
enough.
it's powerful for nerve regeneration.
Okay.
For the nervous system. And then also assisting with how blood moves in our body.
Okay.
Yeah, so it can be very supportive for women as well.
Yeah.
So I have a couple herbs.
Okay.
I have little
Do you
list.
use calendula?
I do.
Okay.
I love calendula.
So I'm about to start growing calendula.
Okay.
We do have some yarrow already.
You
The
have
yellow
sorrel?
version.
Yes.
We have sorrel.
You have yarrow already?
Yes.
Oh, awesome.
Not at the Forest Heights Garden,
okay.
but here at Horseshoe Family Farm we're growing it.
Good.
Calendula is going to be on the list. We have St. John's wort, which is another really good medicinal flower.
It is.
But speaking of the herbs, you make your own teas and things, right?
I do.
Let's talk about it, because we got this beautiful
this
setup today.
Yeah, so it says make apothecary on the back. It says, I am a living, breathing, answered prayer.
All right.
And so I like to wake up to that. You can find this on my website.
And what is your website?
Yeah, MAK Apothecary, APOTHECARY.com.
Okay.
Yep, and we have mugs, we have journals, the Make It Happen journal.
Okay.
And then we've got tea. So this tea that I'm going to serve for you today is a flower tea. And it's rich in antioxidants and tannins, and it's got skullcap, it's got some linden, it's got lemon balm, it's got a nice floral hint to it.
Okay.
It's a beautiful blue tea, lavender, chamomile, and it's called Go Lay Down. Okay. Because during the pandemic, when they had that whole Go Lay Down, and they had this, I loved when they were singing that. But it's not going to knock you out. Okay. But what it does,
because I got to get to work.
Yeah, no, you won't be knocked out. Okay. But what it does is that it just regulates the nervous system to get you calm, allow you to focus, and allow you to go into anything that you need to do. Okay. From a space of clarity.
Awesome. So, awesome. Well, I can't wait to get into that.
Yeah. So I have to serve that up for you.
Okay. Well, while we're working that out, how did you come up with the apothecary?
Yeah.
I don't know why I can't get that word out. Y'all probably know. But,
it's okay.
Yeah. How did you?
So the apothecary is literally the natural pharmacy.
Okay.
And to me, when I saw the word, when I don't know where it resonates so deeply for me, but it just really resonated, and it's resonated for quite some time. And this idea of having all these herbs that you see, and you see their colors, and the mason jars, and just it just has that older feel.
Okay.
And so it's a much older word. I think from like the 1600s. I have to look at the etymology of it again.
Okay.
But it literally is a space where the remedies before the pharmacy, all the herbs came from.
That's how we healed ourselves. We have all these man-made medicines. God made it all.
Quite a few black apothecaries.
Okay.
Quite a few.
Okay.
And so when you look through some of the 1920s or the early 1900s, even the late 1800s, some of the literature you'll see, it may not say apothecary, but it will say like, different tonics and herbs and things. And sometimes they were for spells, sometimes they were for, different, what people wanted to have in their home.
Yeah.
But the apothecary is how I came to do that. So I wanted that.
All right. All right. Well.
Yes. And the make stands for my ancestral kitchen, because I want my daughter to be able to not have to look for the healing, because sometimes we don't document our healing, right?
Oh, look at that!
Yeah, it's a very pretty blue.
Beautiful blue.
Yeah,
no, blue is my
nice
color
blue.
now.
No, yep.
Yeah.
So then let me make some for you, and then I have some. You can taste how it is, and then I have some honey, like a honey sugar for you.
Yeah, I don't put any sugar or anything in my teas.
Then we
I'm going to take it just like it is.
Yeah. And you'll get to taste all that's in there.
All right. Now, I love the way this looks.
Yes, it's very, it's, even when you hold it up to the sun, it just has such a beautiful color to it. So
yeah. Thank you. Thank you for sharing this with me. And this is your own blend,
This is my own blend. It's hot, but... And you can smell it as well.
Okay. Yeah. I love that.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to put a little bit of water in there to cool it off just a little bit.
Yeah, because it's hot.
Yeah.
It's still hot.
But I can smell it. I smell the aroma.
Very fragrant.
I do smell the lavender. So I am, I'm excited about that. Yeah. So tell us how your nonprofit started. Let's talk about it.
So the Family Arts Museum is a nonprofit. And then Realm, so that's everything that I've spoken about is pretty much under the nonprofit lens. Right. And when we come out to, like we would come out to a garden, we've done laundromats, we've done corners, and we bring the exhibition to it. Okay. One of the projects we do is called Our Living Room. We do that in partnership with the New York Times. And we literally take a living room out into a festival or out into nature, and we talk about the home. We talk about what happens in the living room space. And the other project is the Salon series, where I serve the tea. Okay. And we bring the community together to talk about an issue and break out into groups. We solve it and we come back and come up with the community's medicine, how we move forward. Okay. Yeah, and so that then led me into taking this into corporate wellness, because a lot of people who were coming to the salons were like, my team needs this.
And this is your for-profit side of things.
This is my for-profit side.
And what's the name of it?
That is under, Make Apothecary is under. Okay. And the overarching umbrella is called Realm, Renaissance and Education Learning Media. Okay. And so, but the corporations, schools, universities have said, our team needs this, we need something like this. And so people have brought me in to do a smaller version of it, usually with about 20 to 25 people. Yeah. And then I talk with them about what's happening in the environment. We make sure the right people are at the table. I serve tea. I bring everything, and the way it's set up, it's, usually it's big tables on the floor, and that we're able to, and we have chairs if people don't want to sit on the floor. But what it does is that it shifts the hierarchy of a traditional professional development. Right. Everybody's at the same level, and we're all coming to solve the same problem. Yeah. So
that's beautiful.
Yeah, it's really beautiful. And then I give them, of course, a report after that says, this is what your team said. This is what you all said. Yeah. I facilitate them to getting to the problem, and also identifying, maybe some unspoken talent. Usually comes to life in the room. Okay. Yeah, so how do we get people in the right seats?
Yeah. Yeah. I think, I'm not sure if you've done this already, but maybe I would, see if some churches would be interested in something like that, because that sounds like something that could be used across the board, from the churches, from the corporate, like you said, from people like, these larger corporations that have hundreds and hundreds of employees, and they're trying to get connected to them.
Yeah.
I don't want to say any names because I don't know how that works, but I'm sure there's quite a few out here that could definitely, you know, benefit from something like that.
I hope so. And I love the feedback on my website. You can see the testimonials.
Oh, yeah.
And we start with a meditation. On my website, I also have meditations that people can, just to get a piece of the experience. And then we go into a practice that leads to a very rich conversation. And sometimes we hit on difficult things, but you know, my experience as a middle school teacher taught me a lot about how do you do difficult things.
Now, how long was that? How long did you teach the little ones? The middle school ones are like, they
I love them, but they are so wild.
Wow. Bless you.
Wild. I was a calling from God.
For sure.
What?
Middle school, I mean, because they're trying to figure out who they are.
Oh my God.
And they're so confused.
They're so confused.
And they just they want people to pay attention to them.
No filter at all. Zero filter.
How did you do that?
I love them. They have such a they're so busy wrestling with so many things within themselves. There is no room for any kind of pretense or anything. No.
They're gonna tell you straight with no chaser.
No chaser. And I just love the authentic, like, relationships with the students. And I love how far respect goes. I love that, how far respecting them and respecting each other is a big deal. I love how far grace goes. You know, we're not gonna get it right, and they know they're not gonna get it right. And
they know authenticity when they see it. They know if you come in fake, if you're not going to get much from them. But if you authentic, and they know you care, it makes a difference.
I love it, and it was, you know, it's that stage that you really get to see just this person, like, who they are, and this last minute before they have to wrestle with, do they become something else?
Oh yes, right.
And so my goal was just, how do I set up an environment that keeps you as close to who you authentically are?
Ooh.
That's my goal.
Right?
And how does the learning always bring you back to you? And empower you. Have the answers. And then the other thing I loved about middle school, never underestimate what people can do. Their innovation, you know, and when you employ them and empower them, they stick to the task. And they value that you trust them to get it done.
That's what I was going to say. That trust makes a difference. Because once you empower them to say, okay, we give you the autonomy to lead in this area, and you trust them to get it done, they're going to go above and beyond because they want to prove themselves worthy. They want to make sure that they make you proud. And it gives them just a sense of confidence that
it does.
You know, they definitely need. So that is good.
And what I learned is the same thing happens in a lot of corporate and in nonprofit environments and leadership. Unfortunately, we create these hierarchies that creates almost a middle school situation sometimes, where there's somebody on top, I'm the leader, the teacher, the this, the da-da-da-da, and then everybody kind of has to fall in line. And you're missing out on a lot of the genius in the environment because we're stuck to this hierarchy. So what my program, Bringing the Salon, does, or bringing a memory museum, whatever the practices that I bring, what it does is that it breaks that up, right? Gives people other ways to connect, and then also puts everybody on the same playing field on how we solve that problem.
That is beautiful. That is beautiful. So you've taught in middle school for how long?
It was for 12 years, and then I did adult education for 3. And then I also trained teachers on how to use art across the curriculum.
Oh wow. Now what did that look like?
Well, you know, let's say if a science teacher, right, has let's say they're doing something on water, and then there's an art piece that's happening at a museum, and have some sort of activity. How do you DC has all these free museums, has all these free activities.
Yeah.
How do you get the students to do something that is bringing art into it? How do you create an art activity that actually teaches the science?
Yeah.
So just coming up and, you know, being able to invent with teachers.
Do you want to share any of those things with us? If we were to experience an art practice or activity as adult learners, so I wanted to do some kind of creative event, what would you bring to the table? Like, how would that look? How would that look?
So a perfect example is when I did an Apothecary in St. Martin, and as a part of it, we did a memory museum. And
memory museum.
And so the memory museum, I usually ask everyone to bring an item. And this time you had to bring a plant. You had to bring something or food or something that is a part of like how you heal yourself.
Okay.
So, and I put everything up on, is it good?
Yes,
you like it?
This is good.
I'm so glad you like it. I'm so glad you like it. And you'll feel it. You'll feel it. It has a nice, I probably should have had some before I said it has a nice, even feeling to it. But in the memory museum, I set everything up like a museum. I had the labels for what it was, and then everybody goes around and they write what they know about it, what they're curious about, and how they or their ancestors use it. How did somebody before you use it?
Okay.
And then we share. But then afterwards we put it up as art. We elevate it.
Yeah.
And what happened with those women is that they learned that all of them were dealing with menopause in a different way, right? But what they also found is that one woman in the group was quite the expert.
Oh,
right.
Okay.
And so she had a lot of experience. She had done a lot of research, and so they were able to see all these answers, these questions that they weren't asking each other.
Right.
The answer was actually within the group.
Yes, within the
and that's
group.
usually what happens with these experiences. But that's an example of how you can take art into solving a problem.
Yeah.
And even sometimes finding a problem that you didn't even know you had.
Wow.
So,
Wow.
yeah.
That is beautiful. That is so beautiful. So if there was something that you wanted to share with us, like I know you have these products and you've shared your website, but is there any other items or any other like promotions that you have going on or something that you want to share out?
Please reach out to me. Two things are happening. We have an art exhibition that's opening July 11th. It is a 3-part exhibition on home. The first exhibition is dealing with the internal home. It's going to be at Han Floor Art Gallery. And we're featuring the work of David McDuffie. He was the first artist in residence at my home. Well, one of the first. I bring artists in. They can come live with me and they get to work on a project. So this is the first exhibition.
So yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that because we talked about that before, that you have art residency.
Yes,
Talk about how that works, because we missed that.
What happened is that literally as things begin to change in DC and prices begin to change, housing insecurity is a real thing. And housing and family are one of the main ways that artists stop becoming artists. They start to leave their practice and go into a quote-unquote real job, even though if you have your business set up, join MMU, you can set it up like a real job.
That's right.
You know, so I noticed that was happening, and I had a few artist friends that were like, I need a place to stay while I transition. And I was like, you know what? Come stay with me, do an art residency. Right? Contribute what you can, be a part of the family. I was a mom raising a daughter by myself, and having people be a part of the family that I trust to come in, it was a win-win for everybody.
Right.
To be
and these
able
weren't
to
just people off the street now.
No.
People that she had real relationships
People that I
with.
have real relationships with, and that were able to come and stay. Or if somebody got a gig in DC, but the hotels were crazy and Airbnb, I'm like, come stay, right? And then now I have, a few of my friends. They just want to, they want to fly, they want to have tea, they want to go downstairs, they want to go to sleep, because it's an environment where creativity can happen, and you get some rest. There's good food, there's good tea, you know, so that's how the residency happens. So his show is July 11th, and it's his photography about the internal home and his travels. He's gone to 10 black cities that had the highest black population, and over the past 7 years, documented how culture has changed there. And so that's the second part will be about the home we share, and then the third part will be about the global home. And I'm proud to say that that's what's going to be with George Mason University,
phenomenal.
And they're going to be studying my art practice in their classroom with some of the classes there. So it's going to be quite the experience.
Well, you are definitely a social change maker. No, I haven't seen anything or heard of anything at this magnitude, anything like this, period. You know, so it's just amazing how art can be. Art is just such a. I'm sorry. It gives me, you know. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
I'm losing my words because I understand how art can just bring value, how it can bring people together, and when you can view it in such a different way, it just adds, you know, value to people.
It does.
My son is what I would consider an artist for sure, but he likes his art. It looks different than what most people would consider art, and something like this looks different than what most people would consider art, but this is art. And the way you depict it, the way we can tell that you're passionate about it, that it's something that you've studied, that you're not just willy-nilly just, you know, that this is definitely something that, you know, is a part of, and it is ingrained in you. So I'm just so thankful that you are sharing this part of you, and sharing your art with the world and us here in the DMV. So
one last thing, when you go to my website, you can join. I'll have the link for my Patreon page, and you can be a part of the fam. And this is an intergenerational community where we do projects together, we do field trips, all kind of stuff. And it can be the membership is as low as $11 a month to however far up you want to go. Everybody gets the same experience. But the money from that allows me to fund Make Youth. And so Make Youth, the children run the Apothecary in the museums. The young people run it. I train them. They do a fantastic job. But it gives them, it provides support for the food and the experiences. It just allows us to expand what we have to do without always having to seek another dollar to do it. Even though I'm going to work with you on my nonprofit.
I'm about to say, we're going to work it out. We're going to get them coins for sure. When it comes to my youth. I definitely will.
So I look forward to learning from you. Because I'm already in admiration on how you do things.
Oh, thank you. I just love my people. I love serving my people. So we are just so grateful that you chose to come and share this beautiful tea. Now tell me the name of this tea again.
This one is called Go Lay Down. And it is a beautiful floral blend. It has a nice earthy, but like some high notes, a little hint of sweet. And it's just like you have to taste it to really understand. But this is the tea I serve.
It's beautiful.
To get everybody on the same page in the Apothecary so we can calm our minds and connect.
So, well, thank you for allowing me to be calm and enjoy this opportunity. So with that, I'm going to say, if you enjoyed this content, if you liked it, please subscribe, hit that like button, share it out with those that you feel would also enjoy it. Leave us some comments down in the comment section. And until next time, this is the Social Changemakers podcast, signing out.
Bye.